Hello friends, it's me, Shin, and today I'm coming to you from the corner of Charleston and Decatur, where I'm going to Norm's. Really happy to have you along. I'll see you inside. All right, everyone, and here I am seated at Norm's. Now, Norm's is a 75-year-old restaurant chain started in California, and this happens to be their first location outside of the state. Growing up as a kid in Southern California, I actually went to Norm's very often, despite the fact that I worked at Denny's. I always thought the food here was a step up from my old work location. My friends in college and I would end up playing video games until about 1 or 2 in the morning and then end up at Norm's to discuss how our gaming went that day. And so Norm's happens to have a special place in my heart. And given that they just opened their first location outside of California here in Las Vegas, I'm very happy to be back at Norm's making a video. Now, the inside of Norm's here reminds me very much of all the locations back in California. The trademark orange colors, booths, tables, and bar seating with a bright, well-lit, welcoming atmosphere. A really nice vibe in here. Regardless of the vibes, you know it's all about the food for me, so let's take a look at what they have to eat on the menu. Okie dokie, so here is your menu at Norm's. This is late night, it's currently 2 in the morning. I just wanted to kind of follow tradition of when I used to come here, so let's take a look at the side of what they have to eat. Starting here off the breakfast section, we have some omelets and breakfast sandwiches. Hot cakes, French toast, and waffles, all very good. And then your specialty breakfast here, you've got your steak and eggs, chilaquiles, and the like. Very good looking. We also have some steak and eggs here as well. Sirloin, porterhouse, country fried steak, all looking very nice. And then you can upgrade your breakfast with avocado, jalapenos, as well as some fruit toppings for your carbs there. And then here are some appetizers, some shareables, the chef sampler platter, tots and chicken tenders, all that good stuff. And that will bring us to the lunch items. Got some burgers here. You can also add a super salad. And then here is your sandwich and melt section. Clubhouse tuna melt and Cajun chicken salad or a sandwich are the options available late night. And then here is your kids menu as well. Smaller versions of a lot of the favorites here. And if we flip over the page, this brings us to a lot of the dinner options. You've got steak and steak combos. Looking really good. All of your side options here, mac and cheese, vegetables, shrimp, rice pilaf, and the like. And then here are your seafood options. You've got grilled salmon fillet, blackened salmon fillet, looks really good. And then chicken down here with your chicken tenders. And then here on the back end of the menu, you have your beverages. Unlimited free refills on all of these. And then I guess some of your more premium non-free filled drinks here, milk, juice, and water, bottled water that is. And then we have some desserts down here. Got a super schooner sundae, thrifty ice cream, as well as classic cheesecake and chocolate cake. So there is your menu at the late night here at Norm's. Now that is a really nostalgic menu for me and a lot I'm looking forward to trying tonight because you know how it goes in my videos. Every restaurant is a buffet if you're willing to pay. So I'm gonna get a nice variety together. We'll see what Norm's here is all about. Appetizers are coming up first. I'll see you a little bit when they arrive. Welcome back, everyone. It's time for some appetizers, and they just got here. Let me give you a view. So I got a chef sampler platter along with some soup and salad. Tonight, it's the gumbo along with a side Caesar. And this is all looking really nostalgic for me. Happy to give this all a try. First off, Caesar salad. A really standard looking Caesar side salad here. I've got a nice big fork full. Caesar salad. Yeah, that's good. The lettuce is vibrant and fresh. Some good produce here. That's very nice. The dressing is incredibly rich, very creamy, very garlicky, with a hint of tang also. There's a heavy amount of dressing applied here. This comes out to be a very rich salad, so if you enjoy the flavors of Caesar dressing, this is definitely the salad for you. The croutons provide some crunch, a nice texture variation, and altogether this is a fine salad. Nice little start to the meal tonight. Next up, the soup. This is the gumbo. Fun fact, the first gumbo I ever had was at Norm's, and this is decades ago. Though it has been quite a while since I've had it last, but I've got a nice spoonful here. Here's the gumbo. Yeah, that's good. Quite the viscous broth here. It's very thick and very satisfying to eat. The onions, the celery, the okra have all been cooked down well. They've got a soft texture in this gumbo, and they impart their natural flavors. Both chicken and sausage are found in this gumbo, providing a little bit of a meaty quality to it, as well as some additional richness. A well-seasoned gumbo also. It's savory and smoky, with a very light tomato sweetness in the aftertaste. I remember the gumbo being pretty good, and this is not really falling too far from expectations. A nice gumbo soup. Next up, we're going in on the chef sampler platter. This is an appetizer platter of onion rings, chicken strips, mozzarella sticks, as well as fried shrimp. We'll start with the mozzarella sticks first and dip it into the marinara here. Let's give it a try. Oh, I'd say those are just okay. Can't really say this is my favorite mozzarella cheese stick that I've had. The most important elements aren't working all that well for me. We'll start with the good though. Very nicely fried. You have an excellent crisp on that exterior. It's been well seasoned also. The breading is certainly not bland. You do have some flavor there, and that is fine. Unfortunately, the cheese in the middle leaves a lot to be desired. It has absolutely no pull, no elasticity. It's mostly just a block of cheese. While it has a little bit of a mild flavor, in general, it's actually quite bland. The mozzarella here definitely needs work. Just not the best cheese, unfortunately. Marinara sauce always tastes great when it comes to a mozzarella stick. No real different here. A relatively zesty, slightly sweet marinara sauce. I think it's fine for the mozzarella sticks. Definitely want some much meltier and robust cheese here for that mozzarella stick. Next up, fried shrimp. We'll dip the shrimp into the cocktail sauce here. Let's give it a go. Yeah, it's pretty good. I'd say a pretty standard fried shrimp here. Just like the mozzarella sticks, you have an excellent crunch to that exterior, a very well-fried batter. That crunch is satisfying when you bite into it. Very similar theme, well-seasoned batter here also, certainly not bland by any means. All of that is fine. Now, while not the most jumbo and succulent, you absolutely do get the sweet flavors of the shrimp here. Though a tad on the chewy side, you can tell it's been frozen. The flavors in general are not bad at all. The cocktail sauce provides a little bit of a sweet heat, a little bit of kick to brighten up the flavors. All in all, this is fine. Perfectly fine with that fried shrimp. Next up, chicken strips. Served with honey mustard or barbecue sauce. I'm going to dip it into the honey mustard here. Let's give it a try. Yeah, pretty good. Now, very obviously frozen and prepackaged, but just because it's been frozen and prepackaged doesn't mean it's going to necessarily taste bad. This has been well prepared. Again, just like all the other dishes, very well fried. You have a nice crisp on that exterior, and in general, well seasoned. The chicken in the middle isn't exactly juicy. It is a little bit on the stringy side, but you do get that chicken flavor here. And I do like the honey mustard dipping sauce, a mild sweetness with a little bit of kick. That's all fine. A perfectly acceptable chicken tender there. All right, everyone, and the last bite I'm trying for my appetizer round are going to be the onion rings. A nice looking onion ring here. Usually I'll dip it into some ranch, but I'm pretty sure I already know what this is going to taste like, so we'll just try it straight up. Onion rings. Yeah, that's fine. I suppose this rounds it out. All of the appetizers here were prepackaged and frozen, but again, not necessarily a bad thing. Just like the rest, a nice crunch on the batter. It's been well seasoned, not a bland onion ring by any means. But I will say more so than other frozen onion rings I've had, the natural sweetness of the onion actually comes through a little bit more here than I recall. If you've had onion rings in America, I'm sure there's a high chance you've already had this particular recipe before, and it is satisfying. I really don't have any issues with onion rings like this. Some classic stuff right there. All right, everyone, now that's going to do it for all of the appetizers I'm trying today. I'm going to take a few more bites out, box this all up to go, and then we'll do our first round of entrees. In fact, I think I'm going to go in on some breakfast items. Don't go in, I'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. Now it's time for my first round of entrees, and I went with a lot of breakfast. Let me give you a view. I got their chilaquiles along with the sirloin steak, their chicken fried steak, pancakes, and some biscuits and gravy. This is all looking really good. Let's give it a try. First off, the chilaquiles plate. Now you have the option of adding a sirloin steak to your chilaquiles for about $5, so I decided to do that. So we'll start off with that steak first. Here's the steak. Yeah, it's pretty good. I'd say this is actually a really solid sirloin steak. You're probably looking at something like a select cut. Not the most tender, not the most fatty or rich, but a relatively soft and flavorful piece of beef here. I asked for this cooked medium. It looks a little bit closer to medium well, but it's not too much of a detractor from it. Oftentimes when the quality of the beef isn't exactly prime, you do want a little bit more of a cook, and so that works well here. The steak has been well seasoned, you've got some good beefy flavor, and a little bit of a smoky aftertaste coming from the char on top. A perfectly acceptable sirloin steak here. That was nice, I liked it. Next up, we'll go in on the chilaquiles. Now the eggs on my chilaquiles I got over medium. I always enjoy a good chilaquiles breakfast, but I've never tried the one at Norm's. Hopefully it's good here. Let's give it a shot. Not bad. I'd say a pretty solid middle-of-the-road chilaquiles dish here. I asked for my eggs cooked over medium, and they absolutely nailed it. You can see a rich, runny yolk here, so we're already off to a great start. The tortilla chips in this chilaquile, unfortunately, are quite soggy. Usually you want a nice crisp to this, so the texture actually leaves a lot to be desired here. The tomatillo salsa that they're using is actually quite spicy. It is a little bit smoky, just a little bit tangy, but the aftertaste has a lot of heat. That's a flavor profile you should be prepared for if you get this dish. The richness of the eggs, the spice and kick from that tomatillo, as well as a little bit of corn flavor coming through from the chips actually work together well. If those chips were a little bit more crisp, I'd like these a lot. Now this is the side that came along with the chilaquiles, these are the black beans. Topped with something that looks like a Parmesan cheese. I've got a nice big fork full here. Here are the black beans. Yeah, not bad. Just like the chilaquiles, I'd say these are pretty middle of the road. The black beans have been well cooked, fork tender, a nice soft chew to that, and the black bean sauce that it's been cooked down in has a very nice richness to it. That is good. A nice earthy flavor coming through from those black beans. In general, the dish has been well seasoned, but there's just a certain depth that's missing here from other black bean dishes that I've tried in the past. I'm not entirely sure the technique that's required to get it to that next level. I've never personally made black beans like this before, but all in all, it has been well seasoned. The cheese on top provides an additional salinity that's quite nice. A perfectly passable black bean dish here. Next up, biscuits and gravy. A classic dish at American diners like this. I've got a nice big fork full of the biscuits and gravy here. Let's give it a shot. Yeah, it's good. Starting off with the biscuits. Incredibly fluffy, very buttery, a nice rich biscuit flavor, a solid start to this biscuits and gravy. Now I think the gravy here is just decent. It is creamy, thick, and rich, with a nice amount of black pepper for some kick. However, it is missing a little bit of a savory element. When it comes to a country gravy like this, I really like it when sausage has been cooked into it, a lot of that fat rendering providing additional richness and flavor, but I think that's a personal wish list of mine. In general, the gravy here is still very well seasoned. A perfectly fine biscuits and gravy here. Alrighty, next up, let's do some pancakes. Now, a good American diner like this has to have good pancakes. And in the past, I recall loving Norm's pancakes a lot. Hopefully it's still as good as I remember. Let's give it a shot. Oh, that is very good. Excellent pancakes here at Norm's. Just as good as I remember. A magnificent cook to these pancakes. Very well griddled. It has a soft, moist center. Incredibly fluffy and airy. I really like the texture of these pancakes. A nice sweet flavor here as well, enhanced by the richness of the butter and made whole by the maple syrup. A beautiful woodsy sweetness coming from that maple syrup. Just works so well with pancakes, not an exception here. These are actually very, very good. Pancakes are just as good as I remember. I like these a lot. Next up, chicken fried steak. Now this was the dish I probably got the most when I came to Norm's as a kid. And what I like is they have both beef and chicken options for your chicken fried steak. I went with beef today. Let's give this a shot. Yeah, that's pretty good. Classic chicken fried steak here at Norm's. This is the flavor I definitively remember from a decade ago. A nice crispy fry to the exterior. Loving the crunch as I bite into this. And you do have a nice beef steak center. It is soft, but I wouldn't exactly say it's a marvelous texture. You can actually tell that this was frozen and prepackaged. Outside of the crunch of the exterior, the texture does leave a little bit to be desired here. That said, this is a very well-seasoned chicken fried steak. A little bit of an emphasis on black pepper. There's a nice bit of kick. In general, that is fine. The same gravy from the biscuits and gravy are applied here. Provides a creamy and rich savory element, which is always welcome on a chicken fried steak. While in general pretty generic tasting, it is coming together well here. Perfectly passable chicken fried steak. Now I'll do the eggs that came on the chicken fried steak, and I got these scrambled. Let's give it a shot. Yeah, that's good. Perfectly fine scrambled eggs here. They're obviously using a pre-made scrambled egg liquid, but the flavor of the yolk is certainly permeated throughout. You have a nice richness here, relatively fluffy in texture also, with an additional richness coming from a lot of butter applied. They do come unseasoned. I imagine you're supposed to season them to taste at your table here. These are about as standard scrambled eggs as you're gonna find in an American diner anywhere. Some solid scrambled eggs there. All right, everyone, and the last bite I'm trying from this first round of entrees is gonna be the hash browns. Standard looking diner hash browns here. Let's give it a try. Yeah, it's good. About as textbook standard hash browns as you're going to find in an American diner. Pretty sure these are the same kind that are frozen and found in a bag that are reheated here, but in general they've been prepared well. Nicely griddled, you have a crispy exterior on one side, and fork tender soft potatoes in the center. A good starchy flavor as well as richness. They've cooked this in a lot of butter, but outside of the butter I do believe this is also unseasoned, and it could certainly use a little bit of salt and pepper. All in all though, pretty middle of the road hash browns here. Can't complain about that, that's pretty standard right there. All right, everyone, now that's everything I'm trying from this breakfast round. A few more bites, I'm gonna box this all up to go, and then we'll try some dinner and lunch next. Don't go anywhere, I'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. Now it's time for our next round of entrees. With my next round, I went with a lot of lunch and dinner items. Let me give you a view. I got their T-bone steak dinner along with their blackened salmon fillet, a cheeseburger with fries, and a tuna melt with tots. This is all looking really good. Let's give it a try. I'm gonna start things off with the T-bone steak. I was pretty happy with the sirloin earlier, so hopefully the T-bone is just as good. I asked for this cooked medium. It's actually looking closer to well done, though. Let's see how it is. Oh shit! I'd say that's just okay. Not the most tender cut of beef, but it's certainly not the worst. Now, unfortunately, this was well done, and while not completely dried out, there's not as much moisture as I would like in the steak. It also leads to a bit of a tougher chew. The steak is well seasoned, that I appreciate, but being that it is definitely overcooked, I think I actually like the sirloin steak a lot better from before. A little disappointed with that one, unfortunately. Now, you do have a choice of potato when it comes to your dinners, and I went with the baked potato here. I've got some sour cream and butter applied. Let's see how this is. Yeah, that's good. A perfectly fine baked potato here. It's been well cooked. You have a really soft and tender potato. Its nice starchy flavor is absolutely present here. Nothing wrong with the cook. The butter provides a nice richness here and a nice cooling flavor from that sour cream. All of this is completely fine. A perfectly good baked potato there. Next up, the green beans. All of their dinners do come along with some kind of a vegetable side, and tonight it's green beans. Got a nice forkful here. Let's see how it is.
Seafood is crazy. My mom was telling me the other day she was having like this.
Yeah, it's pretty good. A pretty straightforward green bean side here. Certainly well cooked. The green beans are soft and tender. Also very rich. These have been cooked in a lot of butter and oil. Definitely well seasoned. These do have some nice flavors. In general, a nice preparation of the green bean. It has been cooked with some red peppers, providing an additional sweet heat. There's actually a very nice accent flavor for these green beans. The more I'm tasting them, though, they are quite heavy. A lot of oil applied here. These are not healthy by any means, but certainly not a bad flavor. Perfectly fine green beans there. Next up, we'll go in on the blackened salmon. I believe they have a lemon salmon as well as this Cajun blackened salmon. I went with the Cajun blackened salmon today, and hopefully it's good. Let's see how it is.
No. I don't think you understand because the last thing you came with was like.
Oh, it's pretty good. Now, cutting into this, I thought the salmon was going to be quite dry, but surprisingly, it's marvelously moist. A firm but flaky texture to this fish. While you can tell it's been frozen, the textures are actually pretty enjoyable. Very nice cook to this fish. I am impressed. A nice smoky flavor from this blackened seasoning. The smoked paprika, as well as a little bit of cayenne, are definitely present here. The Cajun influence is very apparent. This fish is also served alongside some kind of a compound butter. You get a little bit of parsley, but mostly just some nice salty richness. It is good. Really happy with that one. That was solid. Now, I've already tried the green beans with the steak, so we'll go in on the other side that's here. These are the mashed potatoes and gravy. A pretty standard side at all American diners like this. Hopefully it's good here at Norm's. Mashed potatoes. Yeah, not bad. Now, I actually do like the mashed potatoes. You absolutely get the flavors of the potato here, delivered in a nice soft mash. There are some big chunks of potato in here, giving a rustic feel, and a very rich flavor. There's been a lot of butter incorporated into this recipe. The mashed potatoes themselves are quite good. Now, the beef gravy initially was actually quite overpowering. It almost tasted like just pure smoke and salt. I wasn't a fan at first. As you start to process the mouthful, the flavor of the gravy does seem to dissipate a bit, mellowing out to allow you to taste the overall flavors of the mashed potato. All that is great. Oddly enough, I think the gravy is a little too straightforward. I think if they would tone that back a little bit, this would be much more balanced. Okie doke, next up, we'll try the cheeseburger. Another classic dish at any American diner. You've got to have a good cheeseburger. Let's give it a shot. Oh yeah, that's good. A nicely toasted sesame seed bun here provides some structure, the bread itself having a little bit of a sweet flavor as well as the nuttiness coming from those sesame seeds. The burger patties here, nice and meaty, well seasoned, you've got a good beefy flavor. A well executed standard burger patty here. Very simple produce on this classic burger, just lettuce and pickles. And while it is a simple vegetable setup, I think I would appreciate some onions and tomato here. A little bit of bite and additional sweetness would go a long way. Speaking of sweetness though, they are using a very nice Thousand Island dressing. Sweet and tangy, very rich and creamy. It provides a lot of nice flavors for this burger, as well as making sure that it remains moist. No dry bites here. A classic burger here. I'm perfectly fine with that. Now, when it comes to a lot of the handhelds, you have your options between French fries, tots, and onion rings. We already tried the onion rings, so I got some fries here. Let's see how they are. Yeah, that's good. Just like all of the other fried side options, these were prepackaged and frozen, but when it does come to prepackaged french fries, I prefer this particular style. You have the skin on, providing a little bit more of a rustic flavor, and in general these have been well fried, a nice crisp to the exterior, although the center of the french fries texture could use a little bit of work, but I don't think you're going to get much better when it comes to a frozen product. A nice flavor coming from these french fries also. They've been seasoned very simply. All in all though, perfectly fine for this classic burger. Can't go wrong with fries like that, those are just fine. Okie doke, next up, the tuna melt. One of my favorite sandwiches when I come to any kind of American diner like this. And I can already tell there's a lot of butter in the bread just from how it glistens in the light. Here's a tuna melt.
Well, he's not particular. Like, he eats meat too. So I would eat meat.
Oh, that was good. A nicely prepared tuna melt. They are using wheat bread here for their tuna melt, and so you have a little bit of an earthy flavor. And as mentioned before, it is incredibly rich. There's probably close to a gallon of butter in this bread. Hyperbole, obviously. A nice flavor from the tuna salad. It has a nice richness, an appropriate amount of mayonnaise has been mixed into that. And the tuna itself has a nice salty and briny flavor. A little bit of crunch coming from the celery. A little bit of crunch from that celery provides a nice texture variation. And the 2 slices of American cheese that have been applied to both sides of the bread give some nice accent richness and salty flavors here. An enjoyable tuna melt for sure. I'm definitely a fan of that sandwich. That was good. All right, everyone, and the last bite I'm trying from this last round of entrees are going to be the tater tots. As mentioned, the sandwiches come with your choice of french fries, tater tots, or onion rings. So we'll round out that last side option here. Tater tots. That was not good. Now staying on theme, these are prepackaged and frozen tater tots. However, unlike all of the other fried options today, these tots are very under. You can already kind of tell by the color, these are not that deep golden brown that you want, and it really shows in the texture. A much more soft chew to these. It was lacking that crispy, crunchy exterior that really makes these satisfying to eat, and it's actually quite a huge detractor. Given that these were a bit under fried, the potato in the center actually ended up being a little bit mushy, a little bit soggy, almost as if they've retained oil. I'm curious if the oil temperature went down for the cook of these tater tots. Seasoned very lightly with salt, that's probably the only real flavor coming through. These needed an additional 1 to 2 minutes in the fryer easily, if not more. Kind of an unfortunate last bite to the meal here. That wasn't all that good. All right, everyone, now that's all of the food I'm trying today. Just a few more bites. I'm gonna box this all up to go, and then we'll do some dessert next. Don't go anywhere because sweets are coming up. Now, welcome back, my friends. It's time to end this meal with some dessert, and my sweets just got here. Let me give you a view. I got their giant schooner sundae, a massive hot fudge sundae with nuts, and I've got a nice big spoonful here. While I'm absolutely stuffed, there's always a little bit of room for some dessert, right? Let's activate the dessert stomach and give this a try. Yeah, that's good. About as classic as a hot fudge sundae is gonna get. While every element here is store-bought, this recipe is a classic for a reason, and it all goes together well. A nice creamy and smooth vanilla ice cream with a lot of sweetness here provides the base. And we've got some absolutely massive scoops in here. There's a lot of ice cream they're serving. The hot fudge is incredibly rich, nice and sweet with a good cocoa flavor, and thick and viscous. I actually really like the texture of this hot fudge. A nice airy sweetness from that whipped cream, and the peanuts on top provide a little bit of an additional texture as well as some nutty flavors. It's all good. A classic American dessert. Perfectly fine hot fudge sundae right there. All right, everyone, now that's going to do it for my late night meal here at Norm's in Las Vegas. Everything you saw in the video today came out to $140 before tip, and I really enjoyed my time. While you're not going to find ultra high-end super gourmet food here at Norm's, you've got an array of classic American dishes here, all prepared to an acceptable level. Now, Las Vegas happens to be home to many great American diners and pubs and grills, but being a kid from Southern California, I really appreciate the fact that Norm's has made its way here. It's definitely better than Denny's in my book, and I used to come here all the time. I'm really happy that Norm's is in Las Vegas. All right, everyone, now that's going to do it for this Tuesday video where I review a restaurant much more local here in the Valley. Coming this Saturday, I return to my quest to vlog every restaurant on the Las Vegas Strip as well as downtown on Fremont Street. Make sure you come back for that one. Thank you so much for watching. Have yourself a great week, and I hope you enjoyed Vegas with me, Shin. Bye.